The lake didn't freeze gently. It seized the boat like a fist closing around a matchstick.
This is the night. If I don't make a choice now, there won't be a choice to make.
He had no land, no home, only this boat, and he wasn't abandoning it to winter.
He's a damn fool. Man thinks he can live in a popsicle. He'll be a corpse by Christmas. I've seen driftwood with better sense. Let him freeze. Saves us burying him.
Let them laugh. The ice will tell a different story.
That night, the cold dropped like an anvil. The ice groaned and tightened its grip.
Hold fast. You've taken worse from the sea.
By morning, the lake had swallowed his hull in a frozen vault. The boat was prison and sanctuary now, and the town, watching from shore, gave him a name. The man who would sink into the ice. While the town wrote his obituary, Charles hammered planks along the hull, sealing gaps against the tightening ice.
This old wood has to hold. The ice doesn't forgive a single crack.
With the hull patched, he turned to the floor. He needed a way down to the unfrozen water.
A hole in my own floor. The first man to fish from his living room.
He stacked dried goods, fuel cans, and fishing gear. Everything a man needed packed into a floating coffin. At the general store, the talk had only one subject.
He'll be knocking at my dock by sunrise, begging for a tow. Then we'll see what his pride is worth. The lake'll take him. They always do. No man beats winter on the water.
They can have their opinions. I've got a stove and a plan.
Preparations done, he looked out at the frozen world. He was sealed in and felt something like peace. The first night in the ice was a war between a small iron stove and a continent of cold.
Come on, keep burning. Don't quit on me now.
Dawn broke pale and silent. The fishing line, dropped through the floor, suddenly jerked taut.
Gotcha. First meal of the winter.
In town, the storekeeper hung a handwritten sign. Bread rations in effect. Half a loaf, per family. The murmurs were sharp and frightened. Winter had only started.
This is what winter does. It tests the weak. Has nothing to do with that fool on the lake.
They're standing in line for crumbs while I am cooking trout on my own stove.
He ate his fill, washed up in melted ice water, and felt the strange quiet of a man who had beaten the first round. Outside, the ice thickened. Inside, the boat held. The man who would sink into the ice was still afloat.
The ice isn't my enemy. It's a blanket. It keeps the cold out, holds my heat.
He caught more fish each day than he could eat. The racks above the stove grew heavy with smoked fillets. On shore, a fisherman squinted at the distant boat and swore he saw smoke. He hurried to the harbor master.
Smoke. That means nothing. Could be the whole thing on fire. Good riddance.
They think I am dead. That's perfect. The dead don't get bothered.
His days found a rhythm. Sleep, fish, smoke, eat. The boat became a tiny nation of one.
If that fool survived, why wouldn't he come ashore? Unless he's too proud or too stupid.
But the rumor refused to die. Each night, someone claimed to see a glow on the ice.
Never been this comfortable in winter. While they ration, I am home.
The ice boat kept its secret, and a man who would sink into the ice floated on. The ice began to groan at midnight, a deep, unnatural sound like a cello string snapping.
That's not wind. That's ice shifting. It's trying to crush the hull.
He grabbed his auger and went out into the frozen dark, drilling holes around the boat to release the pressure.
Come on. Let the ice breathe. I won't let you crack my home.
From the shore, Patrick saw a bobbing lantern and decided to investigate. Stepping onto the ice, he called out. But Charles, focused on his work, never turned.
Greaves, I know you are out there. Answer me, you stubborn fool.
Charles ignored the voice, pulling the auger from the last hole as the ice stopped groaning.
The ice has settled. Now go back to your warm office, Patrick.
Patrick retreated without an answer. shaken more than he'd admit. Midwinter found Charles in a cocoon of steam and fish smoke, a book open on his knee.
I've never been stronger. No sickness, no hunger. The ice is a fortress.
In town, the store shelves were nearly bare. Children's ribs showed through threadbare coats. A mother's plea rang through the harbor office. Her children were fading while the iceboat glowed.
I told them he was dead. I was wrong. I have to see it for myself.
Patrick stood on the frozen dock, eyes fixed on the distant boat. He made his choice.
No more shouting from shore. I am walking out there to knock on his door.
He stepped onto the ice, each footfall a crack. The smoke from the chimney seemed a dare. Inside the boat, Charles read by the stove, unaware of the reckoning approaching. But the man who had sworn to bury him was now a pilgrim on the frozen lake. Patrick pressed his face to the porthole. Inside, Charles, well-fed and warm, ate trout by the stove.
He's been eating like a king while the town starves all winter.
He hammered the door over and over, the sound swallowed by the ice.
Greaves, open this door right now. I know you can hear me.
Inside, Charles turned a page, calmly chewing. He didn't glance at the door.
I owe him nothing. Let him freeze his knuckles.
So this is it. You sit there with a full belly while children cry from hunger?
He stood there, fist raised, then let it fall. The cold had outlasted his anger.
He'd called Greaves a fool, but the only fool was the man outside the door.
Patrick retreated, the golden light from the porthole burning his pride all the way back to shore. Patrick returned to the dock without a word, but his footprints on the ice were a confession. A fisherman blocked his path. What did you see out there?
He's alive, and he's got more fish than the whole town put together.
The rumor became an uproar. The iceboat man had fooled them all.
My wife told me to fix this mess, but how do I fix my own pride?
Out on the ice, Charles sat in his warm cabin, a creased photograph on his knee.
Been months since I heard another voice. Maybe I do miss it, just a little.
He put the photo away and fed the stove. No room for weakness here. The town split like thawing ice. Half called him a genius, the other half a miser.
I can't let this stand. But what am I supposed to do? Admit I was wrong?
The ice moaned like a living thing, and Charles lay still in the dark, listening.
Every crack sounds like a warning. This is the price of being here.
An old memory surfaced. A lost home. A debt that swallowed everything. The boat was his last card.
I didn't choose this lake. I just had nowhere else to go.
He shifted under the blankets. The stove's glow painted shadows on the ceiling.
Better to freeze alone than beg at their doors. At least here, I own my life.
Outside, the ice settled, the groans fading. A new calm filled the cabin.
If the ice takes me, I'll go down as the man who tried, not the one who cowered.
He closed his eyes, and for the first time in weeks, the silence felt like an ally. The man who would sink into the ice had stopped worrying about the bottom. A rare, clear day brought skaters onto the lake, their laughter and the scrape of blades echoing over the frozen expanse.
Look at that strange boat. It's like a little house on the ice, all warm and glowing.
A girl. She's closer than anyone's come in months. What does she want?
Lena smiled and waved at the porthole, but the face behind the glass remained still.
He won't even wave. Why would someone live like that?
Stay clear of the ice near that boat. It's never safe around there.
Patrick shouted from the dock, but the skaters barely glanced his way, too enthralled by the glowing boat. As the afternoon faded, Patrick turned west. A wall of black cloud was swallowing the sun.
That's a blizzard. If those kids don't get off the ice now, they're lost.
Inside the boat, Charles saw the light die through the porthole. The air grew still. A storm was coming. The blizzard hit like a freight train. One moment, there was a horizon. The next, there was only screaming white. Skaters, scattered, their cries swallowed by the wind. Lena spun, searching for her friends, but the world had vanished.
The boat. I saw its light. It's my only chance.
On shore, Patrick bellowed orders. but his voice was torn away by the gale.
This isn't just wind. The whole boat's shuddering like a struck bell.
He pressed his face to the icy glass, but there was nothing but a wall of white.
Anyone out in this won't last an hour. They're already dead.
Then, beneath the howl, a dull thud against the hull, like a fist on a coffin lid.
That wasn't ice. Someone hit my boat.
Another thud, then a frantic scraping. Something was trying to get in.
I swore I'd never open this door for anyone, but that sound, I can't ignore it.
He threw his weight against the frozen door, the ice cracking around the frame as it swung open into the white hell. Lena fell through the doorway, a marionette with cut strings, her red coat crusted white. He dragged her across the floor, kicked the door shut, and silence fell like a blanket, muffling the storm's scream. He piled every blanket, his coat, even the spare sail over her shivering form, then fed the stove until it glowed like a blacksmith's forge.
Her fingers are like ice. If she sleeps, she won't wake up. I need to keep her talking. Don't you close your eyes. You hear me. You fought the ice to get here. You fight me now. Stay awake.
So warm. Thank you.
The weight of another's life had entered his solitary kingdom, and Charles felt the burden and the strange relief of purpose.
She won't die on this boat. Not tonight. That's one thing I can promise.
Slowly, color seeped back into Lena's cheeks. Her eyes focused on Charles's weathered face, and she whispered,
There were others. Did anyone else make it here?
How many were skating?
5 or 6. I lost them completely when the whiteout came. I thought I was going to die. Your light was the only thing I saw.
Charles's jaw tightened. The boat had supplies for 1, stretched for 2. 5 more lives meant nothing but a coffin.
Why do you live out here all alone? It's so strange. Don't you get lonely?
It was better this way. Simpler. The less you have, the less you can lose.
A sudden lull in the gale brought a faint but distinct cry from beyond the hull, a man's voice raw and desperate.
That voice. I'd know it anywhere. Patrick Mullen. Why would the harbor master be out here in this?
The desperate shout came again, sliced by the wind, but unmistakably Patrick's voice, hoarse and terrified. Greaves, I know you are in there. I was wrong. Please, I can't feel my hands.
He shouted, mockery. Now he begs. This is justice. But my hand still twitches toward the latch.
He's going to die out there. Please, you can't just let him freeze.
Patrick had failed to rally a search party. He came alone, lurching toward the only light left in the world. Now his fists hammered the wood, each blow weaker, his shouts fraying into whimpers.
If I open that door, I save a life, but I lose the last scrap of pride that's kept me alive here.
Please, don't make me watch another person die.
Greaves, I was wrong. You were right. Please, I can't feel my face.
He's admitting it. The words I never thought I'd hear. Is this victory, or just another kind of defeat?
The storm roared, indifferent to the battle of wills inside the frozen boat. Charles's hand closed on the latch. He held it, shaking, Lena's eyes burning into his back. Charles yanked the door open, and Patrick collapsed through, a sack of wet wool and ice. He and Lena dragged him across the floor, his limbs stiff as driftwood.
He's breathing, but his lips are blue. Is he going to make it?
Not if you stand there gawking. Get those blankets.
They piled blankets over Patrick's shivering bulk. The stove glowed, and slowly, the frost on his beard began to melt.
You saved me. I didn't think.
Nobody dies on my boat, not even you.
That's his way of saying he cares. A strange, cold kindness.
The 3 of them huddled in silence, the storm screaming outside, the tiny cabin a bubble of warmth and uneasy truce.
I opened the door. Now I've got 2 mouths to feed, and an enemy at my own table.
The storm's howl kept them prisoners, but inside, the silence thawed. Patrick coughed, his breathing evening out.
Eat. You need it more than I do.
No lecture, no gloating, Just fish. This man's pride is colder than the ice.
He saved me first, dragged me in from the whiteout, wrapped me in every blanket he had. Didn't ask a thing.
Patrick's eyes followed the line in the floor, where it disappeared into the dark, icy water. Understanding twisted his face.
You've been eating like this all winter? Pulling fresh fish from under your own floor?
Every day. The lake provides. The ice keeps the water open below.
While we scraped for bread, he lived like a king. And I called him a fool. I was wrong. About all of it. About you.
Not an apology. A seed. And in the frozen dark, that was enough to shift the world. The wind's fury ebbed, leaving behind a fragile stillness. The boat ceased its trembling, and the silence felt almost reverent after the storm's assault.
It's passing. By first light, they'll come looking for you too.
They'll want my report. I'll have to explain how we survived.
And what will you tell them?
The truth. That you saved us. That you've been living like a king out here while we scraped for bread.
Muffled shouts threaded through the thinning wind. The rescue party, calling their names, lanterns bobbing on the ice.
They're here. We're getting out.
Patrick's eyes moved to the racks of drying fish above the stove. A new understanding settled in his chest.
That fish. I want to buy some. When this is over, I'll pay fair.
Bring coin, then. We'll talk when the ice cracks.
In the dying storm's light, a deal was made, a bridge across old bitterness, built on fish and the promise of spring. The rescue party reached the boat, their lanterns carving the gloom. Charles opened the door once more, stepping onto the ice. Lena and Patrick were bundled onto sleds, the rescuers' faces a mix of shock and awe.
Greaves. Best fish I never paid for.
The rescuers glanced at each other, but no explanation came. The iceboat man simply raised a hand. Then he watched them vanish into the white haze, the sleds leaving new tracks beside old.
They're gone, but the blankets still smell like wood smoke and strangers.
He methodically folded the blankets, stacked the plates, reset every corner of his sanctuary.
Funny. 2 extra mouths, and somehow the boat feels emptier now than it did before.
The silence that had been his ally was back, but it had changed key. Now it carried echoes.
I saved them. Maybe that means I am not the man I thought I was.
Word of the rescue spread like fire on dry straw. By noon, a crowd ringed the dock, listening to a man reborn.
Charles Greaves saved our lives. He ate fresh trout all winter while we scraped. I was wrong about him. Dead wrong.
Within days, a hand-painted board hung in the store window. Ice boat catch, fresh daily. The line never stopped. From the boat, Charles saw a tiny bundled figure on the snowy shore, waving with all its might.
They used to call me a ghost and a fool. Now they wave. Strange what a few fish can do.
He didn't wave back, but he let the curtain fall open, and that was a kind of answer. Then, a heavier figure appeared at the shore, carrying an empty wicker basket and a jingling purse.
Greaves, I've got coin and a town that needs feeding. Let's make this official.
Charles emerged on deck, a rope of silver fish in one hand. He lowered it without a word. The ice boat had become the town's larder, and the man who would sink into the ice was now the one keeping them afloat. The morning was crisp and clear. Patrick Mullen walked alone across the frozen lake, carrying an empty basket and a handful of coins.
No mockery today, just business, and maybe a little bit of thanks.
Charles emerged on deck, a string of fresh fish already in hand, and lowered it over the rail.
Morning, Greaves. I'd have died out here if you hadn't opened that door.
You'd have done the same.
A simple exchange of silver scales for copper coins. But in that quiet moment, the old mockery was buried for good.
The town's grateful, even the ones who called you a fool. Now they call it the ice boat.
Call it what you want. It's just my home.
And standing there on the frozen lake, the harbor master and the iceboat man shared a nod that needed no words. The iceboat was no longer a joke. It was a legend. Spring announced itself not with birdsong, But with the cannon fire crack of the lake ice splitting along its seams, Charles took his axe to the ice around the hull, each swing a farewell to the frozen season that had kept him alive.
This ice was my prison and my protector. Now I thank it and send it away.
The last frozen bonds let go with a deep groan, and the boat bobbed free, cradled by liquid water. For the first time in months, he guided the boat toward the town dock, the hull cutting through the slush, the chimney smoking a lazy goodbye to winter. A small crowd had gathered on the dock, not the jeering faces of autumn, but silent, respectful witnesses. No one cheered. They simply nodded as he tied up, the way a village acknowledges a storm that has passed. Patrick stood at the edge, his basket already half full. No words needed between them anymore.
I am not one of them, but I am no longer apart from them. That's enough.
The ice boat was home again, and for the first time, home was a place that others could see. A warm spring evening, and Charles Greaves sat on the deck of his boat, a fishing rod resting across his knees. The line traced idle patterns on the glassy water, the only disturbance in a world at peace.
The ice taught me more in one winter than the town taught me in a lifetime.
On the dock, boots sounded. Patrick Mullen, his basket empty, paused and tipped his hat. Charles returned the nod, a simple exchange that needed no fanfare. The sun dipped lower, painting the boat's hull with amber and pink.
I could slip the line and head to the cove, but maybe one more night with a friendly dock won't hurt.
He cast his line into the golden water, the hook arcing out, then kissing the surface, sending ripples toward the shore. The ice boat floated in the twilight, a small dark arc on a vast bright lake, carrying all the warmth it had earned and all the stories it would never need to tell. And on the shore, a few early flowers bloomed through the snow's retreat, as if the lake itself was saying spring had finally come.